methodology
to use. Apologies to interject you. I'll come back to you, but I have a commercial break to take right now. We'll just come back to you after this quick short break in 2 minutes.
Co-powered by PolicyBazaar.com. हर फैमिली होगी इंश्योर्ड।
देखो यार, जिंदगी का कोई भरोसा नहीं, पता नहीं कब फोटो पे हार चढ़ जाए और फैमिली का फ्यूचर, बच्चों की पढ़ाई खतरे में पड़ जाए। तो आज ही पॉलिसी बाजार से 1 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस कराओ, सिर्फ 525 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH।
दही बड़ा खाने का मन है। वाह क्या स्वाद!
असली स्वाद तो MDH दही बड़ा रायता मसाले से ही आता है।
देखो यार, जिंदगी का कोई भरोसा नहीं, पता नहीं कब फोटो पे हार चढ़ जाए और फैमिली का फ्यूचर, बच्चों की पढ़ाई खतरे में पड़ जाए। तो आज ही पॉलिसी बाजार से 1 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस कराओ, सिर्फ 525 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी के मार्गदर्शन और मुख्यमंत्री योगी आदित्यनाथ के कुशल नेतृत्व से महाकुंभ पर ऐसी छाप पड़ी कि श्रद्धालुओं की संख्या के सारे रिकॉर्ड टूट गए। श्रद्धालुओं में 25 देशों और 5 महाद्वीपों से आए विदेशी तीर्थ यात्री भी रहे, जिन पर सनातन आस्था का गहरा प्रभाव दिखा। एप्पल के को फाउंडर स्टीव जॉब्स की पत्नी लॉरेन पावेल जॉब्स ने निरंजनी अखाड़े के शिविर में प्रवास किया और दीक्षा ली। अमेरिका, फ्रांस, रूस, यूक्रेन, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, स्पेन, दक्षिण अफ्रीका, ब्राजील, ट्रिनिडाद टोबैगो, गुयाना, स्विट्जरलैंड, फिजी, फिनलैंड, ताइवान, मलेशिया, मॉरिशस, सिंगापुर, श्रीलंका, म्यांमार सहित पूरे विश्व के लोगों ने वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की भावना को यहाँ अनुभव किया। मानवता की इस अमूर्त धरोहर में शामिल होने वालों में 77 देशों के 118 राजनयिक भी रहे। इस तरह महाकुंभ केवल धार्मिक आस्था का केंद्र न होकर सांस्कृतिक मेलजोल और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय संबंधों को प्रगाढ़ करने के मंच में भी बदल गया।
सस्ते वाले दाल मसाले स्वाद हुआ बेकार। MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल। ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े। क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
welcome viewers. I'm Pia and you're watching Newsx. We continue our coverage of the momentous moment we've seen just a few hours back. Yes, I'm referring to the splashdown of the Dragon capsule back on Earth, bringing back home Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore. You can see those visuals that we're flashing on our screens. That's the moment that the touchdown had taken place. The astronauts exited their capsule, all smiles, happy to be back home. Remember, their 8-day mission with the Boeing Starliner had extended to 9 months, with them stranded on the International Space Station until the ISRO space, I beg your pardon, the NASA SpaceX Dragon capsule, of course, went there and rescue them. We have with us Dr. Kumar Kishan, who is the former Chief Technologist at the NASA Johnson Space Center. We also have with us Dr. Surendra Pal, Associate Director, former Associate Director and Program Director at the Satellite Navigation Program at the ISRO Center. We also have with us this morning Gohar Raza, who is a space scientist, and Tanveer Ahmed from the Gantra continues to be with us this morning. I'd like to go back to Dr. Kumar Kishan. You were, of course, walking our viewers through several challenges that astronauts still face in space. Back to you, sir.
The point I was trying to make, we now can do a great job of recycling water, for example, which we use for different applications. Recycling, for example, urine, etc. But to my knowledge, we still have a problem with what we excrete from behind. We haven't gotten methodology to use intelligently the potential that provides us. I think I'm going to leave it in glorious words like that. But Pia, if you have any other questions for me, I'll be glad to answer. Other than that, I will say bye-bye.
All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking out time and speaking to us and joining Newsx once again. Thank you for speaking to us this morning. I'd like to, in fact, rope in Mr. Gohar Raza, who's a space scientist. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on Newsx this morning. Of course, we're all celebrating, and we're, of course, very glad and very happy that the Crew 9 is back on Earth. Of course, Sunita Williams, Butch Wilmore, both were stranded in space for 9 months, and they're back safe and sound, all smiles as they exited the Dragon capsule today morning itself. I wanted to understand from you, we've spoken to our guests over the past hour or so, but I also want to understand from you what exactly are the challenges they are going to face right now. There are, of course, a lot of experts that have quite a lot of health concerns. So could you explain to us how exactly the shift from being in an area with microgravity to coming back to Earth is going to impact their body?
See, one has to understand, and almost every program has been asking on every channel, this question is being discussed now at the moment, that what are the challenges that an astronaut is going to face if for a very prolonged period, maybe 9 months or more than 9 months, when they are in microgravity and when they come back to Earth in gravitational fields, what are the challenges they are going to face. There are problems that they face initially during the transition period, where the brain has been affected, and the work and the way brain works, the way eyes work, the way body works, the way blood pressure works, etc., etc. And in microgravity or zero gravity, whatever you call it, the biggest difference that comes over a period of time in functioning of the body is in the muscles. One can take example of a patient lying on a bed for 9 months, where muscles are not being used for a very prolonged period. Then when you revive from such a disease, it takes a long period of time to muscles to function properly. Same, almost similar kind of things happen to those who go up there and spend a very long time. This period should have been 9 days or 10 days. Now, this was extended to 9 months. So, mentally, physically, and preparation wise, they were not really expecting this kind of condition to continue for a very long period of time, that is 9 months. And therefore, the other factor that is important to understand is that both these astronauts are not very young, and therefore the effect has to be very keenly observed, how their body is going to retrieve its strength and start functioning normally. So I think in this particular case, both of them who are slightly older, but they are very highly trained because they have been to space a number of times. So doctors and scientists are going to observe their body functions very keenly, in my opinion, for a prolonged period of time.
I go back to Mr. Ahmed, who's still waiting for us this morning. We in fact have the entire sequence of the touchdown and the aftermath. Let's in fact take a look at it once again.
Earth. Splashdown. Oh, looks like altitude plane. And there you see it on your screen, drogue deployment.
Drogue descent rate nominal.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth. And there we do see Crew 9, some happy waves, smiles all around, back on Earth. Splashdown. Oh, looks like we're getting our next crew member here. That is none other than Suni Williams. Big smile, big wave. Altitude plane.
All right, viewers, there of course you've seen the visuals, the very moments. We've played them out for you. This is what exactly transpired at 3:27 a.m. IST. Last night. I'd like to go back to Mr. Tanveer Ahmed, who's still with us. You've heard what Mr. Raza has had to say, but I'd also like to ask you, what are the lessons that we can draw from this entire mission? Because now we've also set our sights on human space flight. Our Gaganyaan mission is slated to take place next year. So what lessons can India draw from this entire ordeal?
I think the most important lesson over here is speed. I think gone are the days where we take years, if not decades, to build space missions. So we are at a place where space, or rather utilization of space, is happening at a much rapid rate, at a rate that is unprecedented. I think at the start of this decade, we just had about maybe 4,000, 5,000 satellites in orbit. Right now, the number has already been doubled in a matter of few years. So that's the sort of activity that we are looking at space, and the whole journey of conceptualizing an idea of going to a space and from there to actually reaching to orbit. I think huge acceleration is sort of needed in the way we develop the technologies. It has to happen in a way where we build fast, fail fast, learn from it, and mature our technologies and demonstrate the technologies work and prove these technologies at scale. So I think speed is extremely important. Think of it in a way where if we were in a place where to sort of replace the Starliner, Dragon takes 5 years to build, right? That's not a situation that we would want to be in. And I think the ability to build and launch space missions in a matter of few months, I think that is this particular situation sort of greatly emphasizes the critical nature that timeline can have in space projects. And I think the ability to build spacecraft, the ability to build satellites, the ability to build space stations at an accelerated pace, I think that is something that is the biggest learning for me, at least in what happened with Sunita Williams' mission.
And before I go across to Mr. Raza, let's in fact take a look at some really interesting statistics that we have in fact put together. This pertains to the 10 longest human space missions that have occurred till date. First up, Valery Polyakov from 8th January 1994 to 22nd March 1995. This total mission spanned 437.75 days. In contrast, you also have Sergei Avdiev from 13th August 1998 to 28th August 1999. He spent 379.62 days in space. Meanwhile, we also have here Vladimir Titov and Musa Manarov from 21st December 1987 to 21st December 1988, 365.94 days. There is also Mikhail Korneyko and Scott Kelly, 27th March 2015 till 1st March 2016. They spent 340.42 days in space. Meanwhile, there is also Frank Rubio from 21st September 2022 to 27th September 2023. He spent 370.65 days in space. There is also Mark Van Dehe from 9th April 2021 to 30th March 2022. He spent 355.33 days in space. They were all, of course, setting records. Here we have Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore from 5th June 2024 till the 19th of March 2025. They spent 292 days. Of course, that is still 15th March. So it is 296 days till now. Peggy Whitson, 17th November 2016 till 3rd September 2017, spent 289.17 days in space. Meanwhile, there is also Christina Koch from 14th March 2019 till 6th February 2020. She spent 328.67 days in space. There is also Leonid Kizim, Vladimir Solovkov and Oleg Atkov from 8th February 1984 till 2nd October 1984. They spent 236.95 days in space. Alright, so these are of course some of the longest missions in space. Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore are amongst those, but we've also seen missions that exceed the time frame that they have spent in space. I'd like to go across to Mr. Gaur Raza. We've heard from Mr. Ahmed as to what exactly, in his perspective, is it that India can learn from this mission. What do you think are the lessons we can draw from this space mission? We've seen the glitches that took place in the Boeing Starliner, and then of course Elon Musk's SpaceX coming in just within 9 months and bringing these astronauts back to Earth.
Yeah, I agree with Tanveer Sahab that technologically we have a lot of lessons to learn from what happened to Sunita Williams and this crew. We cannot have a time lag which we have experienced in the past from conceiving a project to executing a project. Now that pace has to go up technologically. But there are other lessons as well. Take for example, that the telephone, the cell phone, was made basically for communication while you are moving from one place to another place, as compared to the older technology of telephones, which were stationary telephones. But today, this cell phone is being used for a very large number of things which were never ever conceived when this technology was in the offing. Similarly, space technology has reached a threshold where now humanity is going to use space technology for a very varied kind of purposes. The number of uses it'll offer, one cannot even perceive or conceive right away. But any country, any nation, or humanity at large has to be ready for creative use of space technology in the future, and space sciences in the future. So one is the challenge that the technology itself is offering you, right from developing new materials, cheaper materials, re-entry, etc., etc., and the pace at which you develop and conceive a project and execute a project. That is one part of it. But new uses, especially scientific uses of this technology, are going to expand drastically in future, because at one level, the old technology is almost at the threshold of maturity. Maturity in terms of technological skills that at least 4 or 5 countries have achieved. This will also result into proliferation. More and more demands will be generated by other countries in the world, and other civilizations or cultures in the world, which will also offer challenges. The other lesson that I learned from this particular episode is that the conditions which may be uncontrollable, which may seem to be controllable, has to be conceived, perceived, and expected in future. And the frequency of these unexpected events will also increase, which means when the number of astronauts, up till now, the number of, as Tanvir Saab said, that the number of satellites has exponentially gone up. But in years to come or decades to come, the number of astronauts in the space is also going to increase drastically. When that happens, in order to save and secure life of these astronauts, there will be unexpected eventualities that we will face as scientists, astronauts, as well as engineers, and those who are interested in space sciences and space technologies. So one has to prepare scientifically and technologically also for eventualities. And as I said, the number of unexpected eventualities and incidents will increase, and therefore we as humanity have to prepare for that.
Go back to Mr. Ahmed regarding one point you've spoken about. You stressed about cost efficiency. We've seen this in ISRO's mission, whether it is our mission to the moon, our mission to Mars. ISRO has consistently endeavored to, in fact, send rockets to space at costs that are less than, in fact, Hollywood blockbusters. So what are some of the major hurdles as far as balancing the cost and also ensuring efficiency and optimization of our resources are concerned?
So I think it's the fundamental way where how we focus on developing our technology. I think the core tenets is something is vastly different in how the Americans do it and how the Indians do it. And I think that is where our ability to conduct missions at in a very cost efficient way comes into picture. And we have time and time demonstrated this ability to do missions at a lower cost. Beat missions like Chandrayaan or Mangalyaan, and I think we'll be able to see something similar in Gaganyaan as well. And but surprisingly, this kind of cost efficiency is something that we don't see when we start scaling our technologies. In every aspect where space technology is there, I think Americans are more cost effective than Indians, and I think that's where I would again like to go on a point that we have to really invest quite a lot on figuring out how do we master the game of scale and achieve the same cost efficiency at scale. So I think that's very important. And overall, the primary sort of challenges towards reaching there is essentially the very nature of space. Demonstrating the first success in space is tough. Barely anyone. I think there are countable missions that have been successful on their first attempts. So essentially, an appetite for withstanding failure and enduring them and coming out of them, the resilience that is needed to survive in space. I think that is something that is needed as a core characteristics for Indian companies. And while we scale these technologies, there is a value of that, how we have a value of that while we are doing our first missions. I think there are multiple values of that technology use case or a business case has to undergo before it starts becoming a viable use case for people on ground. Ensuring that the idea and the efforts and the company survives as it goes through this series of challenges is something that Indian companies have demonstrated that they can do it. Indian space programs have demonstrated that we can do it. I think the next step is where whole of the industry is moving towards where we can replicate the same success stories of ISRO, build on the legacy of ISRO, and achieve all the numerous accolades at scale. So I think I would greatly emphasize the need of scale and achieving what we have done with one-off missions. We have to be able to achieve all that at scale.
I would like to thank you as well as Gauhar Raza sir for joining us this morning. Of course, you spent the last 1.5 hours with us here, and we've discussed a lot as far as the spectacular touchdown is concerned. We will continue to track developments as far as Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore's homecoming is concerned. Stay tuned for more on Newsx. We'll be back after a quick short break.
जीरा से प्यास बुझाए,
डाइजेशन के लिए मस्त, शरीर में नमक पानी का बैलेंस बनाए।
सिप सिप जीरा सिप एमडीएच का जर्नी और जीरा सिप।
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के मार्गदर्शन और मुख्यमंत्री योगी आदित्यनाथ के कुशल नेतृत्व में महाकुंभ 2025 बना कीर्तिमान रचने वाला स्वच्छ, सुरक्षित, सुव्यवस्थित महाकुंभ। दुनिया की तीसरी सबसे बड़ी आबादी महाकुंभ नगरी पहुंची, लेकिन 45 दिनों तक न कहीं गंदगी दिखी, न अव्यवस्था। अग्निशमन के आधुनिक बेड़ों की तत्परता, जल पुलिस की सक्रियता, ट्रैफिक पुलिस की सतर्कता सुव्यवस्था के पर्याय बन गए। साइनेज और सीसीटीवी के अलावा सभी घाटों पर महिलाओं के लिए चेंजिंग रूम से श्रद्धालुओं के साथ सरकार नजर आई। 75,000 पुलिसकर्मियों की टीम संवेदनशील होकर जरूरतमंद की सहायता करती दिखी। स्वच्छता के लिए QR कोड आधारित निगरानी प्रणाली से लैस 1.5 लाख से ज्यादा शौचालय और 15,000 सफाई कर्मियों की मदद से 650 मीट्रिक टन कचरा प्रतिदिन निस्तारित हुआ। डबल इंजन सरकार के प्रयास से महाकुंभ स्वच्छ, सुरक्षित एवं सुव्यवस्थित महाकुंभ बन इतिहास रच गया।
सस्ते वाले दाल मसाले स्वाद हुआ बेकार। MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल। ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े। क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें ITV इंडिया न्यूज और Newsx का मीडिया स्कूल। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीक से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से ITV नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है। इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त मजबूत जिससे आप बनेंगे वो चेहरा जो दुनिया देखेगी और पसंद करेगी।
आज दही बड़ा खाने का मन है। वाह क्या स्वाद।
असली स्वाद तो MDH दही वड़ा रायता मसाले से ही आता है।
बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH।
Welcome viewers, I'm Pia and you're watching Newsx. We continue our coverage of the momentous moment we've seen just a few hours back. Yes, I'm referring to the splashdown of the Dragon capsule back on Earth, bringing back home Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore. You can see those visuals that we are flashing on our screens. That's the moment that the touchdown had taken place. The astronauts exited their capsule, all smiles, happy to be back home. Remember, their 8-day mission with the Boeing Starliner had extended to 9 months, with them stranded on the International Space Station until the ISRO space, I beg your pardon, the NASA SpaceX Dragon capsule, of course, went there and rescued them. We have with us Dr. Kumar Kishan, who is the former Chief Technologist at the NASA Johnson Space Center. We also have with us Dr. Surendra Pal, Associate Director, former Associate Director and Program Director at the Satellite Navigation Program at the ISRO Center. We also have with us this morning Gohar Raza, who is a space scientist, and Tanveer Ahmed from the Gantra continues to be with us this morning. I'd like to go back to Dr. Kumar Kishan. You were, of course, walking our viewers through several challenges that astronauts still face in space. Back to you, sir.
The point I was trying to make, we now can do a great job of recycling water, for example, which we use for different applications. Recycling, for example, urine, etc. But to my knowledge, we still have a problem with what we excrete from behind. We haven't gotten methodology to use intelligently the potential that provides us. I think I'm going to leave it in glorious words like that. But Pia, if you have any other questions for me, I'll be glad to answer. Other than that, I will say bye-bye.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for taking our time and speaking to us and joining Newsx once again. Thank you for speaking to us this morning. I'd like to, in fact, rope in Mr. Gohar Raza, who's a space scientist. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on Newsx this morning. Of course, we're all celebrating. And we're, of course, very glad and very happy that the Crew 9 is back on Earth. Of course, Sunita Williams, Butch Wilmore, both were stranded in space for 9 months, and they're back safe and sound, all smiles as they exited the Dragon capsule today morning itself. I wanted to understand from you, we've spoken to our guests over the past hour or so, but I also want to understand from you what exactly are the challenges they are going to face right now. There are, of course, a lot of experts that have quite a lot of health concerns. So could you explain to us how exactly the shift from being in an area with microgravity to coming back to Earth is going to impact their body?
See, one has to understand, and almost every program has been asking on every channel, this question is being discussed now at the moment, that what are the challenges that an astronaut is going to face if for a very prolonged period, maybe 9 months or more than 9 months, when they are in microgravity, and when they come back to Earth in gravitational fields, what are the challenges they are going to face? There are problems that they face initially during the transition period, where the brain has been affected, and the work and the way brain works, the way eyes work, the way body works, the way blood pressure works, etc., etc. And in microgravity or zero gravity, whatever you call it, the biggest difference that comes over a period of time in functioning of the body is in the muscles. One can take example of a patient lying on a bed for 9 months, where muscles are not being used for a very prolonged period. Then when you revive from such a disease, it takes a long period of time to muscles to function properly. Same almost similar kind of things happen to those who go up there and spend a very long time. This period should have been 9 days or 10 days. Now, this was extended to 9 months. So, mentally, physically, and preparation wise, they were not really expecting this kind of condition to continue for a very long period of time, that is 9 months. And therefore, the other factor that is important to understand is that both these astronauts are not very young. And therefore, the effect has to be very keenly observed, how their body is going to retrieve its strength and start functioning normally. So I think in this particular...
सस्ते वाले दाल मसाले स्वाद हुआ बेकार MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल ये रंग दे ये खुशबू दे ये तीखा ये कम पड़े क्या निराला MDH मसाला
डाइजेशन के लिए मस्त शरीर में नमक पानी का बैलेंस बनाए
सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जर्नी और जीरा सिप
welcome viewers, I am Pia and you are watching Newsx. We continue our rolling coverage of the landmark moment we've just seen a couple of hours before. Yes, NASA astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore have safely returned to Earth after spending over 9 months in space due to unexpected delays which occurred after the Boeing Starliner capsule that they used to reach the ISS faced certain glitches. Now their spacecraft, SpaceX's Dragon, successfully splashed down off the Florida coast at 3:27 a.m. IST. This of course marked the end of a mission that lasted 296 days. There was a very sweet moment. We saw a pod of dolphins swimming around the spacecraft as the recovery teams work to retrieve the crew. You can of course see the visuals right there. Suni Williams exiting the capsule, all smiles as she beamed with joy while stepping out, waving and smiling. We have a very special guest joining us this morning. Is Falguni Pandya, Suni Williams' cousin. Good morning, ma'am. Thank you so much for speaking to Newsx. First of all, I'd like to gauge what exactly was your reaction when you saw the capsule's very picture-perfect splashdown off the coast of Florida. How elated are you with her return?
You said it right. It was a picture-perfect landing. Namaste, everyone. I am just as excited as everybody in the larger family of Indians, Bhartiya, all around. She is everyone's daughter. She is everyone's sister. She is everyone's own person. So we all are very excited and celebrating with all of you.
Indeed, and I want to also know how exactly did you feel when you first found out about the difficulties, the glitches in her mission. She's of course a very seasoned astronaut. She's been to space a couple of times. She's set many records over there. She was the first woman to in fact run a marathon in space, the first person in fact to also do a triathlon in space. So she's had a very illustrious career as far as, apart from her career in the US Navy, she's had a very illustrious career as an astronaut. So what was your very first reaction when you found out about the glitches and you found out about the possibility of her extended stay in space?
I do have full faith in NASA and the team of scientists and the team that have been supporting Suni and all other astronauts. So there was no fear or anxiety of anything going wrong. We were bummed that not feeling that great that we will be missing her and that she would have to stay longer than she had planned to. So there was disappointment, but absolutely no fear and no anxiety, at least on my part.
Indeed, I also wanted to know how exactly did she communicate with all of you while in space?
So nowadays with the technology, it has become very easy to stay in touch. We were having routine video calls with the family. She was constantly in touch with her mother and her husband and her sister. She has written emails to all of us in a large group of friends and family. She has conveyed lots of details about her activities at the International Space Station. She has inquired about how we were all doing throughout. Communication was constant and in detail, and it was just like communicating with anyone who is long distance, even on planet Earth. And thanks to NASA team and thanks to technology, we are able to do that.
I also want to ask you a little more about Sunita in particular. How was she as a child, and when exactly did her interest in space bubble up?
So I am Sunita's Bhabhi, and I have been a part of her life for last 30 years, ever since I got married. And I do know, knowing the family, knowing my husband who is the same age as Suni, and then they grew up together, spending summers together, that Suni was raised in a very disciplined and a wonderful home that was full of love, but also very active household, where they were doing a lot of physical activities, there was a lot of discipline, there was a lot of emphasis on studies. As a child, she was, from what I've heard, she was very focused and she was very determined. But she and her whole family is very light-hearted. They are very joyful people. And I think joy really brings the best out in all of us. And her ambition has evolved slowly. She didn't start out wanting to become an astronaut. but she was in Naval Academy for a while. Then she was a helicopter pilot, and then it just one thing evolved into another. And we are happy that she's doing what she loves to do.
Indeed, and you know, there was this time somewhere around the 1990s when she started her training. So could you explain to us how exactly did you all react? What was the family's reaction to her, of course, when she expressed her interest in becoming an astronaut, from, of course, shifting her career from a Navy pilot to that of an astronaut?
She is a powerful person, very, very smart and very accomplished even from beginning. So it was sort of natural for her to go on to do greater stuff. Family has been very supportive. It is her decision, just like it should be for adult children in our families. And when she decides to do something, family was full-heartedly supporting. Many of us thought it was very cool that she was going to be an astronaut and she had joined the training. That's just something to be proud of. Yes, everybody was aware that becoming an astronaut comes with a lot of sacrifices, personal sacrifices and sacrifices from the family as well, but mostly her own, and the physical hardships that she would have to go through, and all the life-altering decisions that she would have to make. But she was quite aware of it, and she was doing it for the greater good, and the family is committed to greater good of the world. Her father himself has contributed so much to humanity through his research in neurology and brain mapping, and a very down-to-earth person who just followed science and followed contributing to the world. So it's no surprise that she is coming out of that environment, following his footsteps as well.
Do you have any sort of standout memories of your interactions with her before this mission?
Lots of memories. It's been 30 years together. So lots of memories, and it's very unfair for me to say one is better than the other, or one stands out and others don't. But we have always had a lot of fun relationships. She has attended all the family events. She's an aunt to my children. So when we do traditional ceremonies like Janeu for my son and Mundan and family birthdays, she has always been there, and we have had wonderful memories. And not just of her sister Dina, her brother Jai, and the extended other cousins as well. She's just one of us, so we don't single anybody out. Yeah.
Indeed, and what's interesting is just about half an hour back, I was just taking our viewers through the longest amount of time astronauts have spent in space at a stretch, and now she's of course amongst the top 10 of astronauts world over in the history of humanity to have spent 296 days in space. How do you feel about this achievement?
Just like all of you would, very proud of her, right? And it was not planned, but the way she has embraced the change of schedule, the change of things that are happening, and not easy, but she has embraced it. And I think that is something even more to be proud of, that she showed how in adversity you can still find a path forward and stay true to your mission and your goal. Very proud.
Indeed, a lot of people are also now, of course, concerned about her health. What sort of changes have you seen in her since before this mission and now with the touchdown? Of course, we've seen a lot of physical changes as far as her weight is concerned. There's, of course, a lot of challenges that astronauts face in microgravity. So how do you think she'll adjust back to life on Earth?
She's a fighter. She is surrounded by a great team. She has the entire team of NASA supporting her, helping her. They know what they are doing, and I am very sure that she will fight back. She's always been physically fit, and as astronauts you have to be. So before going to space she was very physically fit. She will bounce back.
All right, ma'am. One last question. Of course, Sunita Williams has inspired countless of people across the globe. And how do you think her achievements, her tenacity, her courage, her resilience, especially in light of this mission, how do you think this will impact the Indian community at large? A lot of people who are, of course, now looking at space as being an avenue where they can, of course, contribute, and also women in STEM fields.
So why just Indian community? She's an icon for the world over. But for Indian community, what makes a difference is that she has succeeded in United States. It's very important for our next generation to get that encouragement, that hope, that path forward. That is somebody who looks like me can do it, so can I. Someone who comes from the family like mine can do it, so can I. So she's very approachable. She's very down to earth. She's very humble. She's willing to share her knowledge, and she's willing to share her journey and the path forward. So I think she not only inspires in an abstract way, but she also gives a very concrete hope and a very concrete confidence to the next generation. She's really going to change many lives if she hasn't already.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much for taking our time, speaking to Newsx this morning, of course, sharing your perspective, your happiness at Sunita Williams' return to Earth. Viewers, we also have, in fact, a tweet that's come out from ISRO welcoming Sunita Williams back to Earth. If we can show this to our viewers, yes, right there on your screens, ISRO using very cute emojis, welcoming Sunita Williams back to Earth. This tweet has been penned by the chairman of ISRO, V. Narayanan himself. He said that your safe return after an extended mission aboard the ISS is a remarkable achievement, a testament to NASA, SpaceX and the USA's commitment to space exploration. Your resilience and dedication continue to inspire space enthusiasts around the world. As Secretary of the Department of Space and Chairman of ISRO, I, on behalf of my colleagues, extend a warm greetings to you and wish you a very great day ahead. When Bharat, under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, is working towards making India as a developed country, we wish to utilize your expertise in space exploration. Of course, highlighting the fact that ISRO also has an upcoming human space flight mission, and there is something to learn from this particular mission that we have seen. On that note, viewers, we slip into a quick short break. Stay tuned for more on Newsx.
आज दही बड़ा खाने का मन है। वाह क्या स्वाद!
असली स्वाद तो MDH दही बड़ा रायता मसाले से ही आता है।
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें ITV इंडिया न्यूज और न्यूज़एक्स का मीडिया स्कूल। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीक से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से ITV नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है। इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त मजबूत, जिससे आप बनेंगे वो चेहरा जो दुनिया देखेगी और पसंद करेगी।
में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH।
से प्यास बुझाए, डाइजेशन के लिए मस्त, शरीर में नमक पानी का बैलेंस बनाए।
सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का चटनी और जीरा सिप
welcome viewers, I am Pia and you're watching Newsx. Let's take a look at the top headlines this hour.
Looks like we're getting our next crew member here. That is none other than Suni Williams. Big smile, big waves. Looks like
NASA astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore have safely returned to Earth after an unexpected 9-month-long stay on the International Space Station. Ministry of External Affairs has slammed Pakistan for its statement on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's remarks on Jammu and Kashmir during a podcast with American AI researcher Lex Fridman, asking it to vacate Indian territory under illegal occupation. 65 rioters have been arrested following violent clashes in Nagpur, sparked by tensions surrounding Aurangzeb's tomb. A curfew, meanwhile, remains in place after stone pelting, arson and vandalism injured over 30 people, including police officials. In an effort to restore peace and tranquility, a team of 6 Supreme Court judges led by Justice B.R. Gawai are scheduled to visit relief camps in Manipur on March 22nd. US President Donald Trump has held negotiations and ceasefire talks with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin via the phone line. Putin has agreed to cease missile strikes on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. More than 6 decades after the assassination of US President John F. Kennedy, the Trump government has now released a significant trove of previously classified documents. All right, viewers, those were our headlines. Now our top focus continues to be the fact that NASA astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore have safely returned to Earth after spending over 9 months in space due to unexpected delays. Now, their spacecraft, SpaceX's Dragon, has successfully splashed down off the Florida coast at 3:27 a.m. IST, marking the end of a mission that lasted 296 days. Now, in a very sweet moment, a pod of dolphins were also seen swimming around the spacecraft as recovery teams worked to retrieve the crew. Sunita Williams, of course, beamed with joy as she stepped out of the SpaceX's Dragon capsule, smiling and waving. It's been a long 9 months in space. Meanwhile, before we go across to very special guests joining us, let's in fact take a look at the moment of the landing itself.
Altitude plane, and there you see it on your screen, drogue deployment.
Drogue descent rate nominal.
And splashdown, Crew 9 back on Earth. And there we do see Crew 9, some happy waves, smiles all around back on Earth.
Splashdown. Looks like we're getting our next crew member here. That is none other than Suni Williams. Big smile, big wave.
All right, viewers, but before I move across, I would like to show you ISRO's reaction. Of course, welcoming back Sunita Williams, ISRO has put out a statement on its Twitter handle that has been personally penned by its chief V. Narayanan. Dr. V. Narayanan has stated that your safe return after an extended mission aboard the ISS is a remarkable achievement, a testament to NASA, SpaceX and the USA's commitment to space exploration. He's also said that Sunita Williams' resilience and dedication continues to inspire space enthusiasts around the world. As Secretary of the Department of Space and Chairman of ISRO, I, on behalf of my colleagues, extend a warm greetings to you and wish you a great day ahead. Dr. V. Narayanan has also stated that when Bharat, under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, is working towards making India as a developed country, we wish to utilize your expertise in space exploration. Remember, India, of course, setting its sights on human space flight next year itself. The head of that mission, the head of the crew. In fact, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla is going to be headed to space in just a few months itself in the Dragon capsule, in SpaceX's Dragon capsule via Axiom's space mission. Axiom is of course a private company. This is a private space mission, and he's been training for the last couple of months, as have our other Gaganauts. So of course we will keep our eyes peeled for that mission. But ISRO of course and Dr. V. Narayanan of course stating that there's a lot to learn from Sunita Williams' experience in space. We will continue to track these developments very closely. Meanwhile, we're shifting focus to something else that's taking place in Uttar Pradesh. Yes, the highly anticipated aviation hub, the Noida airport, is rapidly progressing. Located near Jewar, the airport is likely to transport and air travel in the Delhi NCR region and boost this quite a bit. Now, the latest visuals that have come out show the airport's sprawling terminal structure under construction with multiple cranes and scaffoldings. Now, as the work progresses, a well-developed highway interchange crucial for smooth connectivity to the airport can also be seen, and here's a glimpse of those visuals. Alright viewers, there of course we've taken a glimpse at the current status of construction at the Jewar airport. Of course, it's scheduled to be inaugurated in the coming months. Meanwhile, shifting focus to other news stories that we're tracking, India has reaffirmed its strong stance on the Jammu and Kashmir issue, asking Pakistan to vacate the Indian territory that it illegally occupies. The Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal, while responding to media queries on Pakistan's recent Kashmir comment, has stated that the neighbouring country's promotion of cross-border terrorism is the biggest roadblock to peace and security in the region. Instead of spreading lies, Pakistan should vacate Indian territory under its illegal and forcible occupation, is what the MEA has stated. My colleague Ajay Jandal joins us on the broadcast. Ajay, of course, earlier the Prime Minister, and we'd heard his tough talk on the Lex Friedman podcast. He of course stated that Pakistan is waging a proxy war with India in Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistan, of course, as usual, once again rejecting what it actually does. It stated that it is one-sided information and it is misinformation, their usual statements as usual. And India, of course, reaffirming the fact that Pakistan must vacate illegal occupation of Indian territory.
You rightly said, because what we have seen that for last many years Pakistan was peddling lie, as far as the Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, and was continuously trying to do a propaganda to defame the government of India, the forces on the name of Kashmir, whereas things are totally different in the Jammu and Kashmir, because in Jammu and Kashmir people are peacefully living there, and then Jammu and Kashmir is growing with the rest of the country, but Pakistan was spreading lie. And now when the government of India's stand was conveyed to Pakistan and the world over, that is definitely, becoming understood for the others as well. And the Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal said in response to the media queries on the comment of the Pakistan, he said that we note that Pakistan has once again made some comments about the Indian, Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The world knows that the real issue in Pakistan's active promotion and the sponsorship of cross-border terrorism. In fact, this is the biggest, roadblock to peace and security in the region. And he says that instead of spreading lies, Pakistan should vacate Indian territory under its illegal and forcible occupation. So that is what basically is required. So this is what exactly, Ranveer Jaiswal, while addressing media, has said. And this is the truth, that what has happened in Pakistan, that has to be seen, that how Pakistan have occupied that part of Jammu and Kashmir illegally, and that need to be vacated.
All right, Ajay, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast, sharing all those details. Viewers, we have more important news that we're tracking from across the world. This time, of course, focusing on the tensions that have been plaguing Russia and Ukraine since 2022. Now, in a significant step towards de-escalation, Russian President Vladimir Putin has agreed to a limited ceasefire, halting attack on Ukraine's energy infrastructure following a high-stakes phone call with US President Donald Trump. However, the Russian leader has stopped short of committing to a broader ceasefire, tempering hopes for a swift end to hostilities. The phone call, of course, resulted in a preliminary agreement between Putin and Trump